Everyone thinks the present simple is the easiest tense in English. But what if I told you it can describe the future, the past, live sports, newspaper headlines, and even perform actions just by saying words? In this lesson, we'll go far beyond I work and she works. By the end of this video, you'll know almost everything there is to know about the present simple, from the basics to the advanced details that even many advanced learners miss. Let's begin. Its structure is very simple. In the present simple, we use the base form of the verb. For third-person singular subjects, he, she, it, we add s or es. For example, I read, the death does not cover its tracks, but she reads, the death does not cover its tracks. The auxiliary verbs do and does are used in questions and negative sentences. To make a question in the present simple, place the auxiliary verb do or does for third-person singular subjects at the beginning of the sentence and use the base form of the main verb. For example, do you read the death does not cover its tracks? And does he read the death does not cover its tracks? The only exception is what questions. Question words come first, and only then we use auxiliary do or does. What book do you like? Who likes this book? Pay attention to different structures of the questions. There are two types of what questions: what question to subject and what question to object. The formulas are also different. Notice that who likes this book is a subject question, so we do not use the auxiliary verb. To make a negative in the present simple, add not to the auxiliary verb do or does for third-person singular subjects and use the base form of the main verb. For instance, we don't read the death does not cover its tracks, and he doesn't read the death does not cover its tracks. An important detail: do not use double negatives in standard English. Words like never, nobody, nothing, nowhere, neither, and none are already negative, so we do not add not or don't/doesn't to the same clause. For example, I never read horror novels, not I don't never read horror novels. Interestingly, this rule only applies to standard English. In some regional dialects of English, double negatives are perfectly normal and are used for emphasis rather than cancellation. Historically, double negatives were also common in Middle English. In fact, writers like Geoffrey Chaucer used them regularly. Over time, however, standard English adopted the rule that two negatives should not appear in the same clause. There's one more small detail I want you to know. Earlier, I said that we use the auxiliary verbs do and does to form questions and negatives. However, we can also use them in affirmative statements for emphasis. Look at this example. I do believe you, or she does love classical literature. We often use do and does in affirmative sentences when someone doubts us, disagrees with us, or when we want to add emotional emphasis. Common time expressions: always, usually, normally, generally, often, frequently, sometimes, seldom, rarely, occasionally, hardly ever, never, every day, every week, every month, every year, once a week, twice a month, on Mondays, daily, etc. Now let's talk about the usage of the present simple. We will move from the basics to more advanced details. Use the present simple to talk about facts, things that are true now or true in general. You all probably know this simple rule. For example, Aurora lives in Little Lavender. Use the present simple to talk about routines and habits. Aurora reads every day. Use the present simple to talk about timetables and fixed schedules. The train leaves at 7:40 a.m. Use the present simple to talk about instructions. First, you take the book. Then, you open it. Use the present simple to talk about the future after time conjunctions like when, after, and before. I'll talk to Letitia when I meet her. Use the present simple or will to talk about future events that are part of some timetabled or programmed arrangement or routine. It is usually used for fixed, unchangeable events. The Little Lavender Archive opens at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Or, the Little Lavender Archive will open at 8 a.m. tomorrow. What's the difference? The present simple option, opens, is the most common way to state a cold, hard fact from a schedule. It focuses on the routine. The archive always opens at this time according to its official rules, and tomorrow is no exception. It's a fixed, automatic event. The will open option sounds more like a formal announcement or an official statement, for example, a notice on the archive's website or a recorded voice message on the phone. It focuses on the future certainty of this specific event. So, use the present simple when you want to emphasize the regularity and fixed nature of the schedule. Use will when you want to sound more formal, making an official statement about what is going to happen. Use the present simple to talk about the future with suppose and what if at the beginning of a sentence. What if a new murder happens? Use the present simple in zero and first conditional sentences. I've made a full video about conditionals if you'd like to learn more. If you heat water to 100 degrees, it boils. We will go to Ganesh unless a new murder happens. Use the present simple to talk about the past when you want to tell a story. I unlock my locker and suddenly I find a note written on the Hershey's milk chocolate wrapper. I read it and realize Mortifier knows my name. Use the present simple to summarize a book, film, etc. Aurora moves to Little Lavender. It's a small American town where several murders happen. Use the present simple with state verbs. State verbs are verbs that we usually do not use in their continuous form. State verbs describe a condition, feeling, state of mind, or perception rather than an active physical action. Some state verbs are feel, know, believe, love, like, hate, want, need, prefer, remember, forget, imagine, mean, own, belong, seem, appear, have, think, understand, etc. For example, I love you. We'll talk more about stative verbs later. Performative verbs are most commonly used in the present simple. Verbs where saying the words actually performs the action itself, rather than only describing it. These verbs are commonly used in formal situations, announcements, agreements, apologies, and official communication. You can remember performative verbs by thinking about compelling in the Vampire Diaries. I've talked about it in one of my previous videos. With compelling, a character doesn't just say words, the words themselves perform the action. Speaking creates an immediate effect. Performative verbs work in a similar way. The speaker is not describing an action, they are doing the action by saying it. A useful way to remember performative verbs is to think of verbal compelling. The action happens because the words are spoken. For example, I apologize for being late. Some other performatives, accept, acknowledge, advise, agree, apologize, declare, deny, guarantee, invite, order, promise, recommend, refuse, request, suggest, swear, thank, warn. Use the present simple in live conversations, for example, during sports commentaries. Mom passes the ball, runs forward, shoots, and scores. Use the present simple when introducing news after it says hear, I see, they say, someone says, etc. It says here Laura Avante died at the Ganesh School Festival. Use the present simple in news headlines to talk about events that have recently happened. Little Lavender students solve serial murder case. Is everything clear? Let's check your comprehension. On the screen, you can see a sentence. I am not believing you because you are always telling lies. There is one mistake in this sentence. 3. 2, 1. And the correct answer is, I don't believe you because you are always telling lies. Why? Because believe is a stative verb, and we don't usually use it in the continuous form. Now, the second part of the sentence might also be a bit confusing. You are always telling. You might think, wait, doesn't the word always mean the action is regular, so we have to use the present simple? Well, yes, but there's an interesting exception you need to know about. Stay tuned.